So I think I made some pretty broken builds in the past, but I think this one really takes the cake. I think this is probably the most crazy broken build that I've played with, and it surrounds the Hunter and of course Stasis with Shatterdive, meaning that this is actually going to survive next week's nerfs. This will play no different than it does currently. The basic idea of the build is to have your Glacier grenade have the most uptime possible and be ready to be used at any time, but also have high speed movement that allows you to get around the map very quickly, take different angles, or close the gap to Shatterdive someone. In a previous video, I talked about the many uses of the Glacier grenade, the fact that you can use it as protection like a wall, or perhaps like a platform to make a crazy angle or get a height advantage, and of course with Shatterdive as a defensive option, or if you're feeling a little risky, as an aggressive option to entry. And because the Glacier grenades can be used in so many different ways, I wanted a build that literally gave me them at any moment, have them up and ready as much as possible, so I can use it without thinking or without hesitation. I can put down a grenade when I feel like I need cover. I can put down a grenade if I want to try and take an angle. I can put down a grenade if I want to shadow dive someone and not feel bad or wasteful about any single usage. I've been playing the Shatter variant of the Revenant since Stasis' release and just did some minor iterations on it through nerfs and its height and lows, etc. leading up until now, where it won't be affected by next week's nerfs. So on a very basic level, in terms of aspects and fragments, I'm using Touch of Winter and Shatterdive. Of course, you need Shatterdive as your movement tech, and of course to detonate your Glacier grenades very quickly and combo with them. And then Touch of Winter changes your Glacier grenade from being, instead of a line, to being a well packed together circle, spawning, I believe, one additional Glacier crystal as well. But I don't think the additional Glacier crystal is what really makes us strong. It's the fact that it spawns in a tightly packed together circle, so the damage is a lot more focused. So it makes Shatterdive feel a lot more consistent, almost not quite the same radius, but the same consistency as the original Shatterdive before it got nerfed. And again, that's because these crystals are packed so tightly together. You don't have one that's ever going to be terribly far from the target, and as long as you place the grenade near them, you're probably going to get a kill or some pretty high damage off. And this means when you use the Glaciers as cover, you can not only throw it in front of you, of course, as a wall, but you can throw it directly at your feet to be completely surrounded and encapsulated by a circle of Glacier crystals, which is funny, and it actually sometimes comes up. This aspect makes it a bit harder to create platforms with. It's a little awkward, but it does create this kind of nest formation. It makes a circle on the wall, and you can sit in the center of it, which allows you to have a little bit more cover, and you can just detonate the crystals you don't want around, or just stand on top of it. So it takes some getting used to, but it's still good. I think it's worth it for the consistency of the lethality with the Shatterdive combo. For fragments, we use Whisper of Fissures, of course, to get the maximum damage out of our Glaciers possible. We use Whisper of Chains for 10 recovery, and so that we get that additional damage resistance when we are near the crystal and using it as cover, or even just for this to negate an opponent's damage boost. And then we use Whisper of Shards that gives us also 10 resilience, but gets our grenade back much faster. When we destroy crystals, we get a faster cooldown rate, and of course you can continually extend that based on just continuously destroying crystals. With this build, I chose to use Stompees because of the sprint speed bonus and the incredible speed you can build up while bouncing off of ceilings with the jump, and that forward momentum it gives you. It allows me to really close the gap in an instant, go for a shatter dive, or create a different angle and make space, get around the map very quickly. Everyone knows how strong Stompees are, and it also helps me get on top of my crystals when I make the angles with them and try and go for height advantage. So it's very versatile for this build. I use Mida multi-tool mainly as my exotic weapon for this build because Mida is a weapon that allows me to really min-max. The scout rifle mods don't cost as much as other mods, so it allows me to put on some really great stat boosts while maintaining double targeting, double unflinching, which I always love. It's a very, very responsive, quick weapon with high handling. It's got no distractions now. It's insanely versatile. You get your radar up, and most importantly, it stacks with Stompees to give you a 12.5% sprint speed bonus. And it allows me again to min-max my mobility because it gives +2 mobility. So it's a great for mobility, getting around the map, and I think it's perfect for how I want to play this class. It's worth noting that you can do something similar with a lightweight weapon if you want to put on the 7th Seraph and a hand cannon instead. Of course, the hand cannon mods are more expensive, but you could sacrifice some, maybe run single targeting, single unflinching, and achieve a similar result as this build. But again, a lightweight weapon like the 7th Seraph will combine with Stompees to get you the full 12.5% boost to sprint speed. Now, in terms of specifics and mods on my build, this is where it gets a little crazy. I use 8, 5, 10, 10, 3, 5 as my stat splits, and the 8 mobility is essentially 10 because of Mida. So it's essentially triple 10s, and I'm giving up a lot of intellect. And I think that's fine because the Revenant super, while it is good, I don't believe it's great. And I would argue that Shatterdive is nearly as strong while being a neutral game ability. So I care to have that more. I won't be going over the targeting and unflinching perks I'm using, as you can just change that based on the weapons you're using, but for me the important part is I use double impact induction, powerful friends, radiant light, double bomber, and a demolitionist shotgun. This means I have 4 perks that are giving me grenade energy back, including Whisper of Shards, demolitionist, shards, impact induction, and bomber, all of which give you a pretty significant cooldown reduction. With Retold Tail, while it's not an aggressive, and I've seen the inconsistencies of that, you can easily prime a target with Mida or your primary, and then Stompees boost at them, finish them off with a shotgun, and then you get nearly just under, I want to say, half your grenade back, maybe a third of your grenade back, which is a significant amount of energy. Double impact induction gives you nearly half your grenade back simply for landing a melee, and that works with shurikens. As much as this does have a cooldown, you can't just throw double shurikens and get your whole grenade back pretty much. You do get still a significant portion of energy back. And our shurikens on this build, especially with the nerfs coming next week, are less about using them to open up an engagement, meaning you throw it randomly or try and ricochet it, get someone slowed, and then push in. They're more used as a tool just to regenerate your grenade, because then you can entry a lot stronger with something like that. And you use it, of course, still for the slight slow ability that it'll have to stop someone from aping you, but again, you have Shatterdive for that. Your shurikens are essentially a tool to either clean up shotgun kills or just get your grenade back. Double bomber gives us a pretty good chunk of ability energy just for dodging, and we already have an 11-second cooldown, which is very quick with Mida multi-tool or a lightweight weapon, and just for dodging when we aren't right in the fight, or we're trying to respawn and get to the fight, or perhaps at the beginning of a trials round, you're getting, again, a significant portion of your grenade back. And I have some numbers here to tell you how fast you get your grenade back when you combine some of these abilities. After shattering our grenade, shards will activate, and 2 dodges with shards active will give us our grenade back in 23 seconds. That's down from the 53 seconds of tier 10 discipline that we're using. With shards active after shattering our grenades and 1 shuriken or melee hit and a dodge, that gives us a 17-second cooldown from our original 53. With shards active after shattering our grenade and 1 demolitionist kill and a dodge, then we get our grenade back in 20 seconds. That is, again, in every case, less than half the original cooldown speed, which is already very quick, under a minute with tier 10 discipline. This enables you to have your grenade in literally every scenario possible, and especially in trials where it's a little slower, you're bound to have it pretty much every single round at the start. These scenarios I made are also not considering getting your big boosts back and stacking those. If I get a shuriken hit and then shotgun the person, I've pretty much effectively gotten my entire grenade back. Or what if I'm extending that regain of shards by just timing the way I destroy my crystals, and then I go ahead and get a shotgun kill and then dodge to create more uptime. You can combine these in so many ways. You just have to be thinking, how can I properly use my utility, like my shurikens and my shotgun in scenarios, to maximize my grenade's uptime. And once you do that, you'll start seeing that you literally can Shatterdive someone and like 10 seconds later have your grenade again and Shatterdive the next person. It's very, very strong, and I would call this borderline broken. It's pretty crazy, and like I said, the way that you play this build is not affected by the slow changes or the freeze changes. You're shattering and you're using your shurikens as mainly, again, just a tool to get your grenade back. So this is a pretty strong build, and it's going to be live for next week. So try it out if you like, and I'll see you guys later. Take it easy.